everyone, my name is Josh and I need a rant. I've been doing research for the past few days on a topic that I will be doing a presentation on via YouTube and alt tech. During this research, I've come to realize that paganism is constantly being treated as the religion Wicca, that all pagans serve the mother goddess, believe in the divine feminine, follow the Wiccan Rede. That is the religion Wicca. Wicca is a duotheistic religion based on the hunter god of death and the goddess of fertility. Gerald Gardner founded the religion after the repeal of the Witchcraft Act of 1950 something. Paganism is not a religion in and of itself. It is an umbrella term used to denote one of the polytheistic faiths of normally pre-Christian Europe, but the definition has been expanded to include the polytheistic faiths of other nations that were nearly wiped out due to the Abrahamics throwing a really fucked up birthday bash for millennia. Um, just because someone is pagan does not mean that they are Wiccan or practice a flavor of Wicca. Paganism is an umbrella term. It's used to denote the Asatru, who follow the Norse gods, and the rest of the heathenry movement. It's used to denote the Slavics and their belief system. It's a term used to denote people who follow Egyptian paganism, which is Kemeticism, my religion. And it's really bothering me, and it's probably bothering a lot of other people too, from what I've read, that when someone claims to be pagan, the first thing out of someone else's mouth, normally a Wiccan or somebody who doesn't really know anything, is like, "Oh, so you follow the mother goddess, or what type of Wiccan are you, or who's your god and who's your goddess?" And I feel like this needs to be said. Like, I had friends who were Wiccan, and I, 100% support them and things like that. But the pagan faiths are not just flavors of Wicca or traditions of Wicca. They are their own religion with their own set of morals, with their own set of beliefs, their own set of understanding things, their own worldview. Um, for example, I know in New Age feminist Wicca, which is what a lot of modern Wiccans practice, the feminine is everything, and it's the earth and it's the mother. But the thing is, in ancient Egyptian belief system, the earth is masculine. The earth is a god. It's Geb. It's literally a god. It's not a goddess. It's not like some weird woke non-binary thing. It is literally a god. And people start saying, well, what about Isis? Isn't she a moon goddess? Isis didn't really become a moon goddess until after her ascension to essentially becoming a really popular deity around the time of like New Kingdom, where she was celebrated and absorbed the attributes of literally every other goddess before her. And then around then, she was then associated with the moon. Until then, the moon was mainly seen in ancient Egyptian society as a masculine thing. It wasn't really seen as something associated with goddesses and things like that. That was the sun. The sun was not only a masculine figure, but it was also a feminine figure, or sorry, symbol I should be using, a feminine symbol, because it introduced the idea of creation. And that was one of the things that was mainly associated with female deities was the idea of fertility and creation. So the sun was a not only a masculine symbol but also an feminine symbol. And the sky, Noon herself, the primordial waters, was seen as a female figure. And it just kind of bothers me when a religion is constantly claimed to be something that it is not. I know that the Asatru have nothing to do with the Wiccan Rede. I know they have their, I think it's like eight noble virtues, nine noble virtues, something like that, and that is the way they're followed. So whenever I hear people meet pagans for the first time, and their only experience has been New Age bastardized Wicca, and the first thing out of their mouth is, "Oh my God, who's your god and who's your goddess?" Or "What flavor of Wicca do you follow?" It's this automatic assumption that that pagan means Wicca, and that whenever you meet a fellow pagan or another pagan of a different sect or whatever. It's just a variation of Wicca. And I'm not the only one kind of getting pissed about that. I know I was discussing this about a few months back with my Austrian, I think it was my Austrian or Celtic friend, about how Wicca has pretty much taken over everything. And, somebody wants to practice a religion that was founded by Gerald Gardner, you know what? More power to you. 100% go for it. But I'm not Wiccan. The Asatru is not Wiccan. The Slavic, the Ronovian's not Wiccan. And neither is Celtic Reconstructionists or the Greeks and the Romans. They're not flavors of Wicca. They're not traditions of Wicca. They are their own religion, moral code, their own cultural worldview, their understanding of the gods, their own ways of offerings, their own ways of seeing the world around them. It's just doing this research into the subject that I'll be presenting soon. There is a lot of misinformation and it's confusing a lot of people, even scholars. Uh, I recently had the pleasure of watching a scholar's video on it, and they said that paganism is a religion, and I'm just sitting here internally screaming and telling them that it is not, because because of Wicca and the bastardization of it, I have to literally correct people nearly every time I talk to people who aren't pagans themselves about what we are. For example, there's in our religion there are gods and goddesses, but some people only worship goddesses and some only worship gods, or some do a mix in between. Now, in my personal practice, I don't worship a goddess. I worship three gods and that's it. Other people ask me, well, what about Ma'at? I personally just view Ma'at as a personified code of something to follow. Um, I'm also more into Khonsu's area of cosmology, so like Thebes and stuff. Um, yeah, so we don't have the Wiccan Radi. We have Ma'at, and the opposite of Ma'at is Isfet. So Isfet being evil or chaos of, the evil kind. And honestly, I just wish a lot of these authors or even just people in general will just take 5 minutes to do basic research. Hell, even scour like an Infogalactic or a Wikipedia article. Actually, maybe not Wikipedia. That site's kind of been trashed for years now. An Infogalactic article or something, or just something that is not feminist Wicca, honestly. And I think that would go a long way towards helping paganism being seen as what it is, a term for people who are trying to reconnect with the face of old because they feel called to it, rather than just saying paganism is Wicca or all pagans serve the mother goddess. Actually, I remember going to an SCA event about a few years back, and this woman in about her 50s or 60s and her husband were completely under the illusion that paganism was Wicca. And I had to explain this to them, and we ended up agreeing to disagree. Even though I know I was in the right, it was starting to get heated, and I stepped back and step out of the situation, and I just walked away from it, and I went to go help somebody, I think, with like loading something off a truck or something. But it's the ignorance that needs to stop. And I know that in modern times, not only do we have the Christians who think we're Satanists to deal with, the Muslims and Jews who look at you and go, "You're a Satanist. You worship our devil or whatever." And now we also have to deal with the woke communist crowd who essentially want to contort and redo the religion, not for any particular reason other than their political ideology demands it. So it's kind of like it's fighting a war on two different fronts. You have the people who've been bastardizing you for years because they know that if you ever get empowered, Christianity is never going to exist again. And then you have the other side who's trying to turn it into something political and woke. Either side is horrible, either side is bad, and only truth and knowledge, proper knowledge and correct knowledge, will be able to see you through. Honestly, I'm just being tired of accused of being a feminist, associated with pink-haired feminists who scream at the top of their lungs that my vagina is magical. Um, yeah, I bet it's filled with all sort of musty charms. But yeah, that was my little rant. I was just wanted to get that off my chest because I'm just so sick and tired of having my religion being destroyed, contorted, and conflated with something that I know it is not. And I'm pretty sure my Kemetic brethren can agree, and my friends who are also true and Celtic can probably agree as well. Thank you all for watching. Um, this new video should be up sooner or later, the minute I'm able to actually properly do this research without wanting to blow my brains out. So, laters.